Sevagoth is one of the coolest Warframes in the game, and one of the most frustrating to actually play. And the weirdest part is, he's not weak, and that's not the problem at all. So, why do a lot of players drop him after building him? See, on paper, Sevagoth is insane. A Shadow Form, a Reaper theme, self-revive mechanics. It's a top-tier Warframe. But in practice, a lot of people build him once, try him on a few missions, never touch him again. Now, here's the reasons I found for that. Now, first thing, like I said, he's not bad at all. He's incredibly powerful, actually. But he is 3 Warframes in one. You got his main form, which is a caster, supporter-ish kind of frame. And then you got his shadow form, which is melee Reaper mode. This is Brawl Star. And then you got his death ghost mechanic. When he dies, he enters this form, and you can fight as the shadow to resurrect yourself. Now, that's soul collecting and revival loop. Now, you can just ignore that last bit. It's not that important. The main thing is that he essentially just has 2 forms, his exalted shadow and then his base form. Supporter-ish with gloom, and then being a caster with sow and reap combo, being the nuke combo that everybody is well aware of. Now, the only problem with this being essentially 3 frames in one is he is extremely Forma heavy. You gotta build him up like crazy to make him worth it. His first form, I don't care what kind of build you're going for, you usually have to use at least 2 Forma to make him pretty steel path viable. Now, I'm not talking level cap here. I'm just talking steel path, maybe Archimedes. So 2 Forma on average is what I've noticed. And then you go to his prime shadow, and that's another 2 Forma to make it steel path ready. And then you head over to his claws, and this is 1 to 2 Forma. Now, it just depends on how many slot extensive mods you're going to be putting on. For example, if you wanted to put on all primed mods, naturally that's going to cost more. But just going for a basic build, 1 Forma is usually pretty needed. And then after that, after needing all of that Forma, he's extraordinarily energy extensive. His combo loop, like I mentioned at the beginning, is quite simple. You want to cast Gloom, you want Gloom to always be out, that's your support, and it slows down enemies, heals those within. And then you want to cast your second ability, So will mark all of these enemies. Marking them is incredibly important because then you want to cast a Reap. This will deal 25% true damage, essentially just shaving that health. This is low effort nuking. You cast 2 buttons and then it's gone. So his combo would usually be mixing between casting 2 and then 1 over and over again until they all die. You can occasionally go into your Exalted Shadow form and start kickboxing these enemies, start ripping their heads off. And then in this form, you also have your own abilities. Essentially, like I said, making him 2 frames in 1. You got Embrace, Ghostly Hands pull enemies into Flailing Mass, and then you got Consume, dash the enemies and rip out their souls to heal Shadow. Very important, healing yourself. And then you got Death's Harvest, inflict nearby enemies with Harrowing Condition. This debuffs them. Damage vulnerability, incredibly important. So his gameplay loop is quite simple. If you do use his second Warframe area, his Exalted Shadow, you would cast Gloom, go into Exalted Shadow because Gloom still stays out, cast your 3 Death's Harvest, go back into your normal form, cast Sow, and then cast Reap. You'll do exponentially more damage, and then you can just do that over and over again. It's a simple loop, and it's extraordinarily effective. So the problem is not his damage. It's high investment for normal payoff. Other frames can do what he just did with half the effort. I'm not even joking here. They're cheaper to build, easier to pilot, similar results. You don't have to constantly change between forms at all. You don't have to have an extraordinarily high Forma investment build because Sevagoth's normal builds require 5 Forma on minimum, which is pretty extensive. They have easier ways to maintain energy. Meanwhile, Sevagoth's literally bleeds energy, with Gloom taking energy per second, So requiring energy to cast naturally, Reap requiring energy to cast naturally, and you're going to be casting Sow and Reap regularly. That's his damage. And then his shadow form, when you die, it is a little bit clunky. I'm not even gonna lie. In his shadow form, you're just gonna be attacking enemies, but just the basic attack sends you flying, and it becomes astoundingly difficult. If you keep flying through enemies, then you just keep taking damage. You have to constantly use your ability to heal yourself while you're dead just to be able to survive. Speaking of, in your death form, Consume is the only ability you're able to use, and it just heals you a little bit. Now, moving away from Shadow feeling like a cruel mini game with its constant clunkiness and sliding abilities, just getting him is annoying. I'm not even gonna lie. I think I spent ages farming base Sevagoth. My personal recommendation, instead of doing the railjack stuff to farm Sevagoth and the Void Storms, just go ahead, farm Sevagoth Prime. Leave normal Sevagoth alone until you start farming Master Rank or something, because it's almost not even worth it. It's a pain in the ass. And now, with that being said, that's pretty much just about it. Like I mentioned, he's not weak. He's incredibly strong. His mechanics are just kind of... they're not for everyone. He's incredibly Forma extensive. Not everybody can afford that. His gameplay loop isn't that fun for everybody because it's easier on other frames. That's quite normal. That's pretty much how Warframe is nowadays. And then, of course, you have just the simple acquisition problem being incredibly annoying. And honestly, with that being said, that's just about it. Tell me, is there something about Sevagoth that I missed? Is there something people love or hate about him that I failed to mention? And with that being said, until next time.